nobody in the ballpark. 0-5, hitless through 7. Feels like rock bottom.
2-2. Ground ball. Lindor waits on it. He's got it. And the ball game is over. From 0-5 to OMG. What a ride. The Mets are going to the postseason in 2024.
2024 Mets season could not have gotten off to a worse start than it did. The Mets started off 0-5, and after a heavily disappointing 2023, which led to the team selling at the deadline, trading away players such as Hall of Famers Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, people started to write this team off, especially when they continued this slow start, all the way to a 22-33 record. This was a major breaking point for the Mets. Vibes were at an all-time low with Lindor slumping and this incident.
Started with a Will Smith home run, capped by a Shohei Ohtani home run.
Is that Ohtani's first home run here at Citi Field? Someone just got tossed by Ramon de Jesus.
Who was it? It has just gotten worse.
Whoa.
And Lopez responds by tossing his glove up over the netting and into the crowd.
This team seemed dead, not just by record, but by team polls. This is where a pivotal part of the Mets season took place. Following a brutal 10-3 loss to the Dodgers, the Mets held a players-only meeting. Team leaders Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, and veteran J.D. Martinez largely took charge in this meeting. No one knows exactly what went on during this meeting, but the main message is known. This team needed to have fun and change the vibe. You largely see frustration from teams doing bad in a die-hard sort of environment, but not from this team, not this year. The Mets added a new celebration for doubles that symbolized turning the page, as they hoped to do for the season. From this point, the Mets went an astonishing 67-40 the rest of the way, but of course there were many steps, and in classic Mets fashion, gimmicks to get there. This Mets season wasn't just historic for the franchise, but also the most bizarre and overall just the most fun season I've ever seen, and even though it didn't end in a championship, it'll be hard to find a team that had a more fun season to be a part of as a fan than this one. So what exactly made the season so crazy? I'm going to highlight some of the most important ones.
All right, Grimmets, it's your pitch.
The Mets, as part of the MLB's new initiative, made City Connect jerseys. If you've ever taken the 7 train, which goes to Citi Field, you would know that it's signified by its purple signage, and this is part of the inspiration to the Mets' new uniform, which featured purple accents. Why this is significant is that the Mets, in an effort to promote these jerseys, got the most purple guy ever, Grimmets, to promote the team and the new jerseys by throwing the first pitch. This was obviously a very humorous, fun way to promote the jerseys, but no one could have predicted what happened next and the impact this purple McDonald's mascot would have on the team. The Mets began a 7-game win streak from June 12th to the 18th and kept their hot streak ever since. After this point, many fans have noted the team the Grimace Mets. For a team who wanted to have fun, what better way to do it than rallying behind a McDonald's mascot? With a gimmick like this, it's absurd to think it's just the tip of the iceberg. If Grimace, the McDonald's mascot sparking the Mets, wasn't weird enough, we next have, as everyone expected, a Latin pop star and his hit single to go along with clutch hitting from Mets second baseman Jose Candelita Iglesias. Iglesias started the year for AAA at the Syracuse Mets, but received the call-up on May 31st. This was an immense spark for this Mets team, providing great defense, consistent clutch hitting, and his hit single, OMG, which was yet another thing the Mets rallied behind. He used his own song as his walk-up song, has an OMG sign, which the Mets would pose with in the dugout following home runs, and the song became the Mets home run song that would play after every one hit by the team. This culminated when, after a win against the Houston Astros, Iglesias performed his hit single in a post-game concert, just greater adding to the vibes of this clubhouse. The gimmick didn't stop there, as it felt like every week the Mets had a new gimmick to rally behind. Now that we're done with the gimmicks and rally cries, let's talk about some players who stepped up huge for the club.
Let's find out. 3-2 pitch. Here's a fastball, hit in the air, deep left field, ranging back is Hayes, at the wall, Mark Vientos has done it again, and the Mets have done it again. It's 6-6 in the ninth.
To talk about this team and the magic it had, of course you have to talk about Mark Vientos, who also started the season in AAA, being optioned out of spring training. Initially, he was called up for a short time when Starling Marte went on the bereavement list, and with a short stint on the team in his only series against the Cardinals, he did this.
For the ninth.
Fly ball, center field, back goes Ciani to the warning track, back at the wall. It's out of here! Mark Vientos wins the game for New York with a 2-run homer!
After this, even with his impressive hitting, he got sent back down to AAA, but not for long. When Joey Wendell got DFA'd, he got the call up, and this time for good. And what a season he had, smacking 27 home runs and being the answer the Mets have longed for at third base. His great season accumulated with an electric postseason, propelling the Mets often against the likes of the Phillies and Dodgers.
Reaches out to second, caught by Iglesias, double play, inning over.
Manaea screams once or twice as he walks off the mound as the Phillies are...
The Mets, after trading both Verlander and Scherzer in 2023, had a new approach for pitchers this year. Behind new president of baseball operations, David Stearns, Sean Manaea in 2023 in San Francisco pitched to a 4.44 ERA, but the Mets got him on a cheap deal and turned him into their ace. Manaea had a fantastic season, especially late in the season, where he changed his arm slot and it worked wonders. He pitched phenomenal down the stretch and in the playoffs, really propelling this Mets team with his electric pitching and elite vibes.
Quite simply, Carlos Estevez at this point is being asked to save the Phillies season. Now the pitch. Swinging a drive towards the gap in right center. It's pretty deep. It's back near the wall. It's gone. It's gone. Francisco Lindor. He may have just outdone himself. He has hit a grand slam.
Lastly, let's talk about the engine that kept this team running. Runner-up for National League MVP, Francisco Lindor. He got off to a slow start as the team did, but man, did he get hot. The catalyst for the turnaround in this team, both with his on-the-field production as well as the intangibles you can't measure, like heart and leadership. It felt like whatever this team needed, Francisco provided. Defense, hitting, leadership, everything the Mets needed when they needed it was provided by Lindor.
That's driven to deep right field, and a home run ends this no-hit bid. Linsanity! Francisco Lindor ties the game with a ninth-inning home run.
The NL playoff race couldn't have been closer with the Mets, Braves, Diamondbacks, and Padres all with extremely close records. With Lindor going down to a back injury down the stretch, it was up to the rest of the roster to pick up their production. They were missing from their MVP candidate. This is where Luis Angel Acuna came in. He came up from AAA and was a Mets starting shortstop and played incredible ball down the stretch, providing the Mets just enough for the stretch when Lindor came back. It all came down to a doubleheader in Atlanta. They just needed one win in Atlanta, which is something that they've heard before.
McNeil, right field, Acuna going back, still going back. He's there! And the Atlanta Braves now lead by 2. Their magic number is 1.
This year, the Mets had another plan. Atlanta fought valiantly what was potentially the best game of the year, given the stake, and it accumulated in this.
And Nimmo clocks one to deep right field. White goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here! Brandon Nimmo puts a hammer down with a 2-run homer.
Swinging a high fly ball, well hit right center. Harris going back. It's on the way. It is gone! Into the Braves bullpen in right center field.
So the Mets, after a split in Atlanta, ended up in the third wild card slot in a series against the Milwaukee Brewers in the NL Wild Card Series. The Mets won Game 1 behind a great offensive night where they played it 8 runs, but the Brewers struck back in Game 2, getting to Phil Maton late and winning Game 2. Game 3, the Mets, in winner-go-home situation, the offense was silent the entire night. 6 scoreless innings from both sides until
3-2. Swing and high fly ball. Right field. On its way. Gone. And now it's Frelick. That one's out of here. Sal Frelick. Back-to-back.
Back-to-back homers for the Brewers was absolutely crushing to the Mets. They were down to their final inning of baseball, down 2 runs in the 9th. They got a leadoff walk started by guess who? The captain, Francisco Lindor. Brandon Nimmo followed with a base hit to get 2 on. And then Pete Alonso, who in a contract year had his worst season in a Met uniform. He was swinging at so many down and away pitches, not taking well, just having a pretty good season. But for Pete Alonso with a very high standard, not great. But he made up for it all with 1 swing doing this.
3-1 to Alonso. Williams sets. Here's the pitch. Swinging a fly ball to right field. Pretty well hit. Frelick back at the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
The magnitude of this moment. Pete Alonso, and possibly the last at-bat of his Mets career, ends up with the 3-run winning shot for the New York Mets. The Mets ended up playing one more, and Edwin Diaz came in for the save, leading the Mets to a 4-2 win to save a date with longtime division rivals, the Phillies. Going into Philly for the first 2 games, a place where the Phillies have had countless postseason moments over the years, the goal was to get one in Philly so they could finish it at Citi. And they did, taking Game 1 of the series with a well-balanced offense and David Peterson coming out of the pen for the Mets, giving them crucial innings after Kodai Senga didn't go long in his first start back from injury. Game 2 was the Mark Vientos game as he hit 2 home runs in huge spots for the team, but the Phillies struck harder, eventually gaining the win against the Mets in Game 2. Game 3 was Sean Manaea's best and most important start of his career, as he consistently navigated trouble against a dangerous Phillies offense and propelled them to an eventual 7-2 victory over the Phils. Game 4, all of the Mets' offense came in one swing. And of course, that was Lindor's grand slam I showed you earlier. This was the accumulation of Lindor's best season of his career and could be the shining moment of this team and this run. It was all the offense the Mets needed, as behind good pitching and one swing and a drive, the Mets took the series with a 4-1 win over the Phillies, propelling them to their first NLCS since 2015. Now, the Mets played the Dodgers, who eventually put a stop to the momentum and the greatest season that the Mets have had in a very long time, in 6 games, but the 2020 Mets were a team who had one of the biggest roller coaster seasons in the history of the MLB, finally reached their stop in LA, a season with some of the lowest lows, highest highs, and of course, an on-field concert and grimace, finally coming to an end without any hardware to show for it, but man, what a ride it was. Even looking at championship teams, it's hard-pressed to find a team that was more fun to follow than the 2024 New York Mets. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, and let me know in the comments if there's any other teams you want me to do retrospectives of in the future. You know, I will do many basketball, baseball, hockey, football, doesn't matter. Just let me know. I could do research trying to put together a good video. So yeah, just let me know what team you want me to cover next. Thank you for watching. This is the 4th quarter.